that's what I was discussing, right? So I would like to start the practical concepts, right? That is the implementation concepts, right? As per your syllabus, right? So from the basic objective. Okay, right? So the first basic object is point, right? That we will be having there, and the second basic, and we will go further, right? Next basic object is line. Okay, right? The smallest object that I can draw is a point, right? So the next smallest object that I can go is with the line. Okay, right? And these two things are the things that they have kept in your theory sub theory part, and they have tried to explain something about these two objects, right? That is point and with respect to a line, right? So now before I go that is before I start the concept, right? Let me just remind you that whenever I try to draw any object uh, in my graphics, right? So those are algorithm based. That means, right, indirectly those are command based. Okay, right? So anything I cannot just draw with a bare pen and paper, or just opening frame and just using the cursor, right? I cannot put a point, right? Or I cannot draw a line, right? Each and everything when it comes to graphics, right? It is the concept of algorithms. Fine, right? On the same lines, right? Whenever I talk about concept of algorithms, right, or whenever I talk about the concept of functions, fine, right? So there is a standard procedure for writing the functions in my OpenGL, fine, right? So how you write your function, fine, right? So in C or C++, on the same lines, right, I have as some standard procedures for writing the functions in my OpenGL also, fine, right? So and there are many ready functions that are available, right? You people may have witnessed in the yesterday's class, right? Yesterday's lab session, right? So we have the various functions like gl underscore points, which draws me the point, right? So gl underscore lines, which helps me in drawing the line. Okay, gl underscore triangles, gl underscore polygon, gl underscore what is that uh, GL underscore polygon, GL underscore triangle underscore strip, it may be GL underscore triangle underscore fan, right? There are many different primitives or functions, function names that you have found out, right? But very importantly, we'll be using GL underscore points, GL underscore lines, okay, GL underscore triangles, GL underscore polygon, right? See, this GL underscore polygon becomes very important, right? So the advantage of this GL underscore polygon is, right? See, for GL underscore line, you should give you should specify 2 points for that. Okay, if you specify 2 points, then only that GL underscore line will work. Fine, right? So uh, GL underscore line will work. Fine, right? So, or if you give multiples, that means, or if you give multiples of two the vertex, right? Then only GL underscore lines will work, right? So, if you give three vertex for GL underscore lines, it draws GL underscore line for the first two vertex. Okay, and third vertex will be left as it is. Okay, right? So but the same thing when you come for gl underscore triangles, right? So for gl underscore triangles also, right, you need to specify exactly 3 points, right? If you try to specify more than 3 points, right, that is more than three in the sense, right? So 4 points or 5 points, right? It will take only first 3 points, right? And it will draw the things, fine, right? And it will leave off fourth and fifth point, fine. But GL underscore polygon is the one, right? So which is very advantageous, where it takes any number of points that is needed, right? And it just connects first all the points, right? And it will give us the required shape, right? So in most of the cases, we use GL underscore polygon, right? So now coming to writing the function in my OpenGL. Okay, right. So how do we write functions in my C or C++, right? So it will be basically starting function name, okay, right? So some parameters you will specify. Next, you will specify the open braces, which tells that, right, we are starting the function, right? So once that open braces are specified, then you will specify the statements, right? So statements required for that function, right? So finally you will end the function with the closing braces. Okay, this is the format that you use in C or C++ or whichever language you have come across till now. Okay, right? On the same lines, right, now coming to my OpenGL, how do I write a function? A function means, right, you know the definition of function. It is a set of codes, it is a set of code or it's a set of statements that is used to accomplish some particular task. Okay, right? So now here, my task is to draw the point. Okay, right? My task is to draw the point, right? So fine, what I will try to do is, right, so what is my function now, right? My function is point, right? So what is the function name that you have for drawing the points? It is gl underscore points. Okay, right? So as you specify a function name in your C or C++, right, on the same lines, right, I have specified my function name. My function name is gl underscore points. That means I need to draw the points. Okay, right? So next thing is this open braces, right? Open braces in my C or C++ or yeah, in programming languages, open braces says that, right? So you are starting the function. Okay, fine, right? On the same lines, right, I also need to tell my OpenGL that I'm starting this function GL underscore points. Okay, right? So here I don't have any open braces or closed braces, right? So I will convey the starting of my function to my OpenGL compiler using GL begin. Okay, right? So what whenever I say GL begin, right? So this GL begin says, right, I am starting my function. Okay, right? That means what this open parenthesis was doing for me in my other programming languages, right? This GL begin will do that for me now. Okay, right? So once I tell I'm starting the function GL underscore points, right? So the next thing is statements. Okay, right? In my usual programming languages, right, I have statements, right? A set of code which performs a particular task, right? Now when it comes to my OpenGL, right, I don't have any statements. Okay, right? So what are the statements with respect to my OpenGL functions is, right, it is vertex, points. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ರೈಟ್ ಸೊ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ರೈಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡಿ ಆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಎನ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ರೈಟ್ ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದಟ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಯು ದ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ picture. Okay, right? So gl begin gl underscore points, right? So I say that is gl vertex, my first point that you need to draw, right? So I will say this is 1 comma 2 is the first point, right? So next point gl vertex, okay, 1 comma 5, right? So this is the second point, right? So okay, I need to draw 2 points, right? So vertex, I have given 2 vertex, right? So and finally you have you have closed your program using closing parenthesis, right? So here there is no opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, right? So my closing parenthesis is nothing but it is gl end. Okay, gl begin will specify the starting of my function. Gl end will specify the end of the function, right? So now what happens, right? So this is my points, right? So where consider this is 1, okay, 1 either, right? So now consider this is 2, okay. Consider this as 5. Fine, right? So what happens now, right? My compiler start when it starts compiling, right? So it checks here, okay, gl begin. Fine, right? As soon as it sees gl begin, oh, it comes to know that, oh, some function is starting. Next, when it sees gl points, gl underscore points, okay, it comes to know that yes, now I need to fetch the function of points. Okay, right? So it comes down, it sees 2 vertex, gl vertex at 1 comma 2, gl vertex at 1 comma 5. Then it comes to know that, right, okay, I need to draw the points for these respective position 1 comma 2 and 1 comma 5. right? Now it goes to GL underscore point to my library. Okay, open GL library. GL underscore points means, right, these are the one that are with respect to drawing the points. Okay, right? So drawing the points antandre which library it will be there? Four libraries: GLUT, GLU, GL, GLX. There are four libraries. I think you know that, right? In that in GL library it will be there. Okay, right? So it will go and it will fetch the definition of points, and when it sees the vertex it will try to draw the point. Okay, right? So where is my first point? My first point is at 1 comma 2. Andre my first point, this is 1, this is 2, right? So this is my first point. Okay, right? Where is my second point? GL vertex 1 comma 5. This is 1 comma 5. Okay, now, right? So this is what I get. Fine, right? So now consider I need to draw a line. Okay, right? So when I need to draw a line, fine. See what I do, right? So I will use the primitive GL underscore lines. GL underscore lines, right? And between these two vertex, right, I need to draw the line. In your primitive function, right? The only statements that you will be giving is points system, right? So within this GL underscore lines, you will be giving this 1 comma 2, 1 comma 5 anta kodtira, right? So that means, right? So what this when your compiler goes and fetches the definition of GL underscore lines, right? It comes to know that, right? So what are the input that this GL underscore line will take is it will take 2 points. Okay, right? So okay, right? On the same lines, I have specified 2 points. Fine, right? So now what it does, right? So it will come to this it will come to the first point, right? So and it checks where is the second point, right? And from the first point to the second point it draws the line. Okay, this is what that happens with GL underscore lines, right? So now let us forget about this GL underscore lines, right? So now let us concentrate on this GL underscore points. Okay, right? GL underscore point. Whenever I say, right, GL underscore point will draw a point for me. Okay, right? So whenever I say, right, it draws a point for me, right? I need to know what is the size of the point. Okay, whenever I'm saying, right, it is drawing a point for me, right? So that means, right, what is that? What actually it draws, or what actually it does? Okay, right? So what actually it does? Fine, right? So now coming to your point and line attributes and functions, right? So here there's as I said in the starting of the class, right? So for your theory class they have discussed some details about points and lines. Okay, right? So some details about points and lines, in the sense some of the properties of points and lines they have discussed in your theory. Okay, right? So those properties of points and lines, I call those things as attributes. Okay, right? I call those things as attributes. Fine, right? So yes, I call those things as attributes. Fine, right? So now for those attributes, right? That means, right, to accomplish those attributes, I have some functions. Okay, right? See now, I have point, right? What is the first attribute, or what is the first property of that point that they have discussed in your syllabus? Is it is the size of the point. Okay, right? See now whenever you have drawn a point, drawn a particular point, right? So in the whenever you have drawn a particular point, right? You may get a question, right? Can I increase the size of the point? Okay, point ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರಬೇಕಾ, right? Can I not increase the size of the point? Fine, right? So yes, before that, right? Yes, I need to know what are the things they have discussed yesterday in CG lab. ಏನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಎನ್ ಸಿ ಜಿ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ? ಎನಿಬಡಿ? ಕಾವ್ಯ, ಕಾವ್ಯ,
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ನಿನ್ನೆ ಸಿ ಜಿ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಪ್ಪ?
ಸರ್ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು.
ವಿಂಡೋನಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ನೀವು ಮರ್ತೋಗಿರಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ಅದು ಸರು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು.
ಅದೇಮ್ಮ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ವಿಂಡೋ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಆಗದಾ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್.
ರೀ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಂತೀರಾ, ಅದೇ ವಿಂಡೋ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಆಗದಾ ಅಥವಾ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಆಗದ, ಲೈನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಆಗದ, ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಸರ್ ಅದು ಕ್ಲೀನಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಪ್ಪ?
ಲೈನ್
ಯಾವ
ಡ್ರಾಯಿಂಗ್
ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್? ಹಾ,
ರೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಗೋರಿದಮ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಲೈನ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಸರ್. ಅದನ್ನ
ಬ್ರಿಸ್ಮನ್ಸ್ ಲೈನ್ ಡ್ರಾಯಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರಾ ಸರ್?
ಅದು ಆಲ್ಗೋರಿದಮ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಹಿಂಗ್ ಡ್ರಾ
ಹೌದು,
ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಮಾನ್ಯಲ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಹೌದು. ಇದೇನು ತೋರಿಸ್ಲಿಲ್ವಾ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್? ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್
ತೋರ್ಸಿದ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್
ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಲೈನ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರ ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಕಿಪ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಸರ್
ಚಂದನ
ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸರ್
ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು.
ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸರ್. ಲೈಕ್
ಓಕೆ,
ಅಸೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕಲರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಲೈನ್ಸ್
ಹಾ,
ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹೆಂಗಿಡೋದು ಅಂತ.
ಓಕೆ, ಫೈನ್, ಓಕೆ ದೆನ್. Yes. Now, what is my discussion with respect to that is, right? So, can I increase the size of the point? Okay, right. That is the first attribute, or that is the first property that they have discussed in your syllabus about the point. Okay, right. So, point andre yavaglu ade size. Can I not increase the size of the point? Right. So, definitely you can increase the size of the point vertex, right? So for every vertex you can have different sizes, you can give different sizes, right? See, before going to that, right, so now I want you people to give a basic information about a point, right? Whenever you specify gl underscore point and whenever you give a vertex, okay, right? So what is the size of that point anta defaultly? Okay, right? See, defaultly what is the size of that point is, it is 1 pixel. Okay, right? 1 pixel na complete 1 point anta ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. Fine, in display device ಅಲ್ಲಿ see, this is the example. Okay, see here, you have lot of pixel. This is square boxes, what you call, right? You have that is nothing but it is pixels. Each and everything is pixel square boxes, right? So now when you just specify gl underscore points and when you give the vertex, right, it takes the default point size as 1.0, right? See, the point size of sorry, how you specify the size of your points is with respect to that with respect to floating point numbers, right? So the default size of your point is 1 pixel. See here, only 1 pixel has been completely covered, right? And this forms a single point. Okay, fine, right? So on the same lines, right, you can go and increase the size of the points. Okay, right? So what is the function that you can use to increase the size of the point is, this is the OpenGL functions that you will be using to increase the size of the point. That is GL point size. Okay, right? So within the parenthesis you will give whatever size you want. Fine, right? Now see here, this is one of the example that they have given to you, right? So GL begin GL underscore point, right? See, for each of the points, right? So GL vertex 2i. Okay, right? This is one of the point 50 comma 100, right? So for this, they have specified the point size as 2.0. Okay, next, they have specified the color also. Next I will tell that, right? So this is the next point, GL vertex 2i 75 comma 150, right? For that they have specified the point size GL 3 comma that is 3.0, right? See now, what happens when you go on increasing the size of the point with this function GL point size, right? Always after the point you will specify the size of the point. Okay, right? See now, what happens, right, when you specify the point size, right, when you start increasing the point size, right? For example, when you start increasing the point size as this, right? So right, point size 2.0, point size 3.0, right? Whenever whenever you try to increase the point size, right, so what will be actually happening inside the display is, right, so it will be increasing the number of pixels. Okay, ಇಲ್ಲಿ default point size is 1.0 ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ, right? That means 1 pixel it will cover, right? So now if you give point size as 2.0, right, it will cover 2 horizontal pixels and 2 vertical pixel and it will form a point. Okay, na, right? See now in this example, right? In this example, right, you can clearly visualize. You can find three horizontal columns, three vertical columns has been covered up to form a single point. Correct, ala? Andre, right here, the point size is 3.0, right? So this is specifying the point size of 3.0. Andre 3 pixel towards horizontal, 3 pixel towards vertical, right? So this is this completely is forming a picture for me, that is my point. Okay, right? That is the increase in the size of the point, right? On the same lines here, they have still increased the size of the point, and you can see how it has been increased. That is what they have picturized here, right? So with respect to point, the first attribute is I'm talking about the size of the point, right? So now coming to size of the point, what is the function for the size of the point? GL point size, right? So the things that you need to know, by default the point size will be 1. That means it will be covering 1 pixel. Okay, right? So always size will be with respect to square block pixel, but as there will be lot of that is what I can say is, right, thousands lakhs of pixels, like, that will be our that will be represented in our display device, right? It looks like a dot, ಅಷ್ಟೇ, right? If you try to maximize that, right, if you increase the resolution, right, so magnify ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, right, you will clearly see that it is not a circle, right? It is a set of square. Okay, ಈ ತರ. Fine, right? So the next attribute is for the point attribute is color. Okay, specifying the color. Fine, right? So specifying the color in the sense, right, you now as per we have discussed till now, right, you clearly know that whenever I need to specify a color for my pixel, right, obviously it takes in the form of red, green and blue, right? So different combinations of these three colors will yield me, right, so one color among 16.7 million colors that are available in my display device. Fine, right? So whenever I need to specify a color, right, so before that particular thing, before that particular object, I need to specify. Okay, whenever I need to specify size, right, so after that particular object I will specify the size. See, vertex I have specified. After vertex I am specifying the size of the vertex. Okay, na, right? On the same lines, when you want to specify the color for any of your object, it may be for your point, it may be for your whole object, right? So you need to specify that before. Okay, right? So when you specify that before that particular object, for whole of that object you will get that color, right? See here, you have gl underscore okay, gl underscore points they have specified, right? So yes, for this color won't affect, right, because it is just points. If you take gl underscore lines, this will affect. I will tell you, I will show you that, right? So what is the function for applying the color, right? It is gl color 3f. Okay, right? So 3 stands for, right, so what are the parameters that you give for this function? You will obviously give 3 parameters. That means red, green, blue, right? So our colors through illa andru, right? If you don't want to specify those colors, you will specify those things as 0 0, right? But exactly 3 parameters you will give you for you will give for gl color. That is why it is 3. And f stands for, right, so the parameters which you give, right, it may be floating point numbers, right? See, one andre complete intensity of red. Now ಈಗ ಒಂದೊಂದು complete intensity of red ಬೇಡ, some dim red ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, right, instead of giving 1 you can specify 0.7, 0.6, right? So here practically what we have done is, right, when we are implementing that in my computer, right, so what is my range of colors, range of color specification is 0 to 1. 0 ಅಂದ್ರೆ 0 ನೇ, ಆ 255 maximum intensity ಏನಿತ್ತು ಆ ಕಲರ್ಗೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು we have normalized that to 1. Okay, right? So that is what, right, you can give any range of colors with floating point numbers, right? 0.1, 0.1, 0.1 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರೆಡ್, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗ್ರೀನ್, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ಲೂ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗಿ you will get some color. Okay, right? So now yes, once we have seen the things about see this question, they will ask you in theory, right? So explain the attributes, different attributes and attribute functions with respect to points, right? At that time, you know, the attributes for my point are, it is with respect to size of my point, it is with respect to color of my point. Okay, right? For size of my point, gl point size is the attribute function, and for color, right, gl color 3f is the attribute function, right? So now let me see that. Okay, right? So now, yes, see here, fine. So this is my, okay, this is my OpenGL function, right? Okay, fine. You people can see that, right? So where I have specified the GL point size as 6.0. Okay, right, 6.0 ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, right, it takes 6 horizontal pixels, 6 vertical pixels, and it forms the points for me. Fine, right? So GL point size is 6.0, right? So now let us see how we will get the point. Okay, where I am. One. I don't want to build this one, right? So which is the file that I need to build? I need to find, build this particular file. I think you can see this, right? ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಪ್ಪ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್? Yes, anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, see, what is the size? See these points, you can see that, right, which is in a square shaped. Okay, right, as there will be lot of pixels, right, the size you can see that, right, this is actually 6 pixel along x-axis and 6 pixels along y-axis, right? So it has been covered and it is forming this point, right? Now I will decrease the size of the point, right? See, okay, what is the point size? Point size here, what I have is 4, right? Now I will decrease that to 2. Okay, right, now my point size is 2, right? Let me see the difference with respect to size. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ. Okay, so actually it will decrease, right? But because of some pixel configuration, the encode it is not decreasing. So actually it will decrease the size of the point. Hmm? 1 minute. I have given somewhere line work by this point. See here, points. Yeah. So now I will try to. Now I will try and decrease the size of the point to 1. And I will build it. See the points, I have given 1, right? So I cannot see the points actually here. Here there are 4 points, right? I will slightly increase the size. Wait, from 1 I will increase it to 2. See, the point size has been changed. Okay, right? So This is how point size works. Next it is color. Okay, right, for each and every individual vertex I can give the color. Fine, right? See now, there are 4 points, 1 2 3 4 points, right? So for all the 4 points, if I want to give a single color, so before this primitive I will give this. When primitive start ಆಗ್ತಿರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ವಾ, gl begin gl underscore points ಅಂತ, before that I will give, right? So one minute, I will comment this. Fine, right? Right, so before this I will give it, right? I will specify that as 1.0. See, in your lab, right, always you remember that whenever you need to give color, right, so before that particular function you should give it. Okay, that is before you draw that particular object, you should give it. Okay, right? So here gl underscore points, right, this function is starting where I am drawing all the 4 points. So before this primitive I am giving the color gl color 3f. That means, right, so I have that is activated only red color. First is rgb alva, first red, next rg green, next blue. So I have activated only red color. Now you can see, right, all the points, right, will be in red color. ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್. ನನಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಕಲರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕು, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ನಾವು ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಡೂ, ರೈಟ್, ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಗಿವ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಜಿ ಎಲ್ ಕಲರ್, ರೈಟ್? ನಾವು ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿಮಿಟಿವ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಿಮಿಟಿವ್ ಒಳಗಿರೋ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಅದೇ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಈಸ್, ರೈಟ್, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಜಿ ಎಲ್ ಕಲರ್ 3f ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಈಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈ ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್, control V. Okay, first vertex, right? This second vertex, right? So before the second vertex I am giving the color. For this what I will do, right? So first vertex ge nan red color kodtini, second vertex ge nan green color kodtini. Okay, right? On the same lines, right, I have third vertex. Before I specify the third vertex I will give the color for that, right? So what is that color? I will specify 0, right? I will give 1. ಓಕೆ, ನೀವು ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ, 0.2 0.3 0.4 0.5 0.5 0. ಆ ಥರ ಯಾವುದೋ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಲರ್. ಫಾರ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ರಿಟೈನ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್. ರಿಟೈನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ನಾವು ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್. ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸಿ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್. ಸಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಲರ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ರೆಡ್, ಬ್ಲೂ, ಗ್ರೀನು, right? So this has taken the color of the first one only. Okay, mail kottidinalla, so it has taken it. Fine, right? See, this is how we will specify the colors for the points, right? So ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಿಮಿಟಿವ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಫುಲ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕಲರು, ಆ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕಲರ್ we will get it. Fine, right? So next concept is with respect to lines. Okay, right? So line ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು attributes ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, right? So in line, what are the attributes they have told you is, right? So it is with respect to width of the line and style of the line. Okay, right? So width of the line andre ಏನು, right? So width of the line andre increasing the size of the line, right? So for example, ನಮ್ಮ paint open ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನೋಡಬಹುದು, you may get different what is the width of the lines. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂತ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ಲೈಟ್ ಲೈಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಲೈನು, ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಾರ್ಕು, ಇನ್ನ ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ಲೈನು, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ವಿಡ್ತ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲೈನ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲೈನ್ ನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋದು, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ attribute of the line, right? So what is the function? See, this is not the example for width of the line, right? So I will show you, right? So the width of the line, right? What is the attribute for width of the line, right? So attribute is width, okay, right? For the line for the line object now, right? What is the function for that? It is gl line width. Okay, gl line width is the one, right? So now this parameter width can be int or float. Okay, right? Whatever I give the size of the width, it can be int or float. How I was giving the size for my point, right? 1.20 1.0 2.0 3.0 atra ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. On the same lines I can also give the width for the line, which can be in int or float. Now default width is 1. Default width is 1 andre ಏನು, right? So it is taking 1 pixels. Okay, right? So it is taking 1 pixel to form the line. if I increase the line width, and if I give 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೆ, right? So the line takes that many number of pixels to form, that is to proceed. Okay, right? So GL line width, right? Now let us see the example for this GL line width. Okay, how I can increase the size of the line. Point this we will exclude from executing. And make this one now this is my line drawing. It point size better. We are not talking about points, right? So now come to display. See, display function is the function where we will write the things that I want to display. Okay, right? So now GL begin GL underscore lines, right? So where I have two vertex. Okay, ಮೂರು ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೂ ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ ನ ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಥರ್ಡ್ ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ ನ ಹಂಗೆ ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ನಾವು ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೂ ವರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಲೈನ್. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ GL underscore lines is my what is that function, right? So let me build this and execute it. See, I'm getting a line. Okay, right? See, this line color also I can change it, right, using same thing, right? So before the line you give the color, it will change, right? So another attribute for line, right? See, GL lines L start ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, il start ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, GL begin GL underscore lines, correct? Right? So these two are the vertex, and here I am ending the line, GL end. Okay, right? So before this line you give the color with the same thing, right? So GL color 3f, right? So what I will do is, right, I will give 0.5 f for red, 0.5 f for green, 0.5 f for blue. Okay, real color 3f, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Now whenever for the line I am specifying the color, so before I start the line primitive GL begin GL underscore lines, I am specifying the color for that object. Now let us see in what color I will get the line. See, something like brown color I have got the line. Sorry, something like brown color I got the line. Okay, right? So now we shall try to increase the width of the line. Okay, right? So for increasing the width of the line, I have a function called as GL line width. Okay, GL line width, right? See, I have increased the width of the line by 3.0. 3.0 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೂರ್ ಪಿಕ್ಸೆಲ್ ಸೇರಿ ನನಗೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಲೈನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, right? Now let us see how the difference with respect to the line width will change. See, right? The width of the line has changed. Correct, right? This is what that will be there in your MS Word or Paint or something, right? Where you will try to increase the thickness of the line and all those things, right? This is what the coding that will be there. Right? So this is about the line. Okay, width of increasing the size of the line, right? Giving the color to the line. Fine, right? So giving the color to the line, it is GL color 3f as usual, right? For line width, right, I will specify GL line width. Fine, right? So now comes the important attribute of your line, that is line style. Fine, right? So what do you mean by styles, right? So styles is this, right? So one is straight line. Okay, right? So another is this dashed line, dotted line, right? So you may have found, you may find a different types of lines. Okay, right? So how these things will be implemented? Okay, right? See, for specifying the style of the line, right, what is the focal GL function that we have is GL line stipple. Okay, GL line stipple is the function that I use to specify the style of the line, right? So how do I specify it, right? GL line stipple, GL line stipple, right? The parameters are repeat factor. Repeat factor ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ particular style ಎಷ್ಟು ಸತಿ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ನನಗೆ ಅಂತ, right? So and then what is the pattern of the style that I want, right? Whether I need whether I need this full straight line, okay, whether I need this full straight line, or whether I need this type of dashed line, or whether I need these type of dotted lines, ಯಾವ ತರ style ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ line style, that is pattern, right? So always this pattern is specified by 16-bit integer, okay, right? So describes the line style. The pattern part ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ನಾವು pattern part ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನ್ style ಅಂತ will specify. How will specify? Will specify that in the form of 16 bits. Okay, 16 bits ಅಂದ್ರೆ right? So octal form, right? Sorry, hexadecimal form ಈ ತರ specify ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. FFFF, F ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1F 4 bits. Okay, totally 16 bits ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, right? So 0 ಅಂದ್ರೆ right, it is I am talking about repeat factor, right? So repeat factor ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ 1 ಇಟ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸತಿ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಂತ. Okay, fine, right? So X is specifying that it is hexadecimal, fine, right? So now FFFF ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, right? So all the bits are activated, correct, right? When all the bits are activated, right, obviously I will get the straight line. Okay, that means complete line. Fine, right? So ನಾವೀಗ ನಮಗೆ ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೈಟ್, ನಮ್ದು ಒಂದು ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ನನಗೆ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಐ ಗಿವ್ ಇಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸಿ ಹಿಯರ್ what they have done, right? See, first half, right? 1 minute, I can take this example or this example, right? So same thing, right? What they have done, the pattern what they have followed is 00FF. Okay, 00FF ಅಂದ್ರೆ right? So first 8 bit 0 ಇರುತ್ತೆ, next 8 bit FFFF ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 8 bits will be 0, ಅಂದ್ರೆ each of this is hexadecimal ಅಂದ್ರೆ 4 bits ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ 2 0 ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 4 bits 0, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 4 bits 0, right? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ FF ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ right, so next 4 bits are 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, right? So that means, so first half will be there and next half will not be there, right? See, ಹೇಗೆ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು, right? See here they have shown, right? So ನಾನು 00FF ಕೊಟ್ರೆ, right? So it starts drawing the line from LSB, starting from LSB bit. Okay, understand, right? So it will start drawing the line starting taking the information from LSB bit. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು 00FF ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಡ್ರಾ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಫ್ ಏನು ಬರದೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಹಾಫ್ ಲೈನ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ಡ್ರಾ ಆಗೋದು LSB ಬಿಟ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಫ್ ನನಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಫ್ ನನಗೆ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, right? See, whenever we give the pattern, right? So the implementation of that pattern starts from LSB bit. ಅಂದ್ರೆ this is the LSB bit ಅಲ್ವಾ, right? So ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನನಗೆ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಫ್ ನನಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಫ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, right? So that is the pattern that you have for this. Okay, right? So next 00FF 00 ಅಂದ್ರೆ right, so ಫಸ್ಟ್ 00 ಇಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಫ್ ನನ್ ಲೈನ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಫ್ ನನಗೆ ಲೈನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಆನ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಲೈನ್ CCAA ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ಡಿಕೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೆಕ್ಸಾಡೆಸಿಮಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, right? So now this is what the how I will form the style for my line, fine, right? So this line which I am going to form, right? So I need to enable a particular function before I use that function, that is my line stipple, GL underscore line underscore stipple na ನಾನು enable ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Then I should use this line style. Okay, what is the function? GL line stipple. This is repeat factor. Repeat factor will always be 1, right? And this is the pattern, what pattern I want, that I will be representing in hexadecimal, which actually will be there in 16 bits, right? Now let us see the example for those things, right? Yes, now GL line width I don't want, right? What I want is, right, I want this line stipple. line stipple means right style of the line. Okay na, right? So now what I will do is right, first I will enable that line stipple function. Okay, gl enable, right? So gl underscore line underscore stipple, right? So next I will use that line stipple function, right? So how I am using, right? See a gl line stipple, right, where my repeat factor is 1, okay, comma, right? And how I am specifying hexadecimal 0 x, right? So first I will specify, right, complete ff, okay, f f, right? So f complete ff andre, right? So it is all the 16 bits will be enabled, that means complete straight line I should get. Okay, before the function I need to specify all these things. First I need to enable that function gl line stipple. Next I will use that gl line stipple like this. Repeat factor is once, that means repeat the factor once, right? What is that pattern? It is ff, right? What is the lines? These two are the lines, right? Now let us see how it works for me. See, I get ordinary complete line. Now let us make these dashed lines. Okay, dashed lines andre ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, right? So yes, how actually it implements, it start implementing from LSB bit ಅಂದ್ರೆ first EF implement ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, next EF, next EF, next EF implement ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, right? So ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, first ನನಗೆ first half ನನಗೆ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು, next half ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಡ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, right, I will make these two things as 0 0. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್, ಇವೆರಡನ್ನ 0 0 ಮಾಡಿ ಇವೆರಡನ್ನ ಎಫ್ ಇಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೋದು ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ LSB ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಂದ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ರೈಟ್? ನೌ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸಿ. ಎಸ್, ಐ ಗಾಟ್ ದಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ಧ ಲೈನ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ನಾವು ಡಾಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ರೈಟ್, ಸೊ ಹೌ ಶುಡ್ ಮೈ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಬಿ, right? So how my pattern should be, right? It is left to your what is that observation, right? So ನನಗೀಗ ಡಾಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ರೈಟ್, ಹೆಂಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ನನ್ 16 ಬಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಒಂದ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 16 ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ನು ಆ ತರ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ 4 ಬಿಟ್ಸ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅದೇ 4 ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೆಕ್ಸಾಡೆಸಿಮಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಏನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 10. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಎ ಆಗ್ತದ್ರೆ, ರೈಟ್, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಡಾಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆ ಥರ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ರೈಟ್? 16 ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಡಾಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಡಿಸೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 ಆ ಥರ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಏನ್ ಹೆಕ್ಸಾಡೆಸಿಮಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೌ, ರೈಟ್, ಲೈನ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ implemented. Okay, right? So this is what is about to today's class, right? It is the attributes of points and lines. Okay, coming to point, right, I have two attributes, size and color, right? So now coming to the line, I have width, line styles, right, and line color. Okay, right? So these two things they will ask you in the exam, right? Explain the different attributes of points, explain the different attributes of lines, okay, and with their functions. 1 minute, I will take the attendance. Pawan Kumar Gupta. Pawan?
Yes, sir.